Welcome back, everybody. I've noticed that a lot of you have requested me to play Caro-Kann against the advanced variation recently. So that is gonna be the topic of today's video. Plus, as a bonus, we're also gonna have one game against the exchange. So without further ado, let's dive right into the action. Welcome back, everybody. Back onto the high elo account. I just got a haircut, so I figured out it would be a pity to waste such a good look and not record something. All right, there you go. Now we are facing the advanced variation of the Caro-Kann. So opponent's got three main options. In case of knight c3, we grab, bring out the pony. In case of exchange, well, I have separate videos on that. And on this one, let's actually go bishop to f5. I've been doing c5 a lot. I want to experiment with bishop to f5. I've been doing quite a bit of research recently, and I want to test out the knowledge. Now, against the tall variation, how do we play it? Because I'm pretty sure I've actually did go h5 standard play in the previous Caro-Kann video that I've made. But alternatively, of course, you can play h6 or even more tricky, a6 move. I think I'm gonna go a6 move. So the point is that I'm trying to wait for white to see what they're gonna play. In case of g4, we're heading back into French defense structures, and if my opponent plays knight f3, then these moves together don't have great synergy. I can go back into e6 without getting the bishop trapped. So a6, he is supposed to play g4. That's the most straightforward path. And now do not make the mistake of going bishop e4, because after f3, bishop back, h5. We're gonna get our thingy trapped. So point is to go back onto d7. And well. Now we are gonna be playing these French defense structures that are gonna be also not so easy for my opponent to handle. Because, well, you're kind of supposed to go now knight c3, bishop e3, queen d2, long castle, and black has all sorts of interesting practical tries, like sacrificing a pawn with h5, and it can be quite tricky. I used to play this setup as white myself. Even though computer loves it, it's never so simple to play it when you have to make the moves. So bishop d3, I've got c5 or I've got e6. These are the moves. c5, dc, knight c6, f4, e6. Looks like I'm winning back the pawn. Can also do e6 right away. Can also start with h5. If g5, you do g6, and if pawn takes, then we'll play like knight h6. Then knight goes to f5. You know what? Because he committed to this bishop d3, I'll do h5. Arguably not the best. I had simple path. Probably just go e6, c5 and get a reasonable game. But I think h5 now spicing things up. gh, knight h6. Threatening bishop g4. Which is possible because of this bishop d3, not such a flexible move to make, which is the reason why knight c3 blends in perfectly in the structure. So h5, and now I've developed the knight. I've got that as an idea, just maybe tickling my opponent. Bishop g4, f3, and then I decide I gotta watch out because taking does allow some e6, so maybe I just provoke f3 and slide back the bishop. Or maybe I just don't have to play that at all. I could continue with c5, knight c6, but my opponent does go knight h3. Okay, I feel like this is going right direction for black. We are giving him quite... We're forcing our opponent to play quite strange moves, which is what I was trying to say. So I've got this idea. In case of bishop e2, I would be more than happy to trade and then play e6, knight f5. Okay, let's go for that. I know I may be confusing you a little bit with this bishop zigzag, but I mean, if we can trade the bad bishop without getting it trapped against the tal variation, then it's a great idea for the most part. Okay, f3. So take and e6 is one way to do it. Then c5, knight c6. Perhaps simplest. Can I actually go for the positional move? Bishop f5 would be ideal, of course. Trading for the knight is slightly inferior, because bishops are slightly better pieces than knights, but this move loses a bit the momentum, I'm afraid. And it still gives my opponent idea to trade and then go e6, which may not be great, but okay, I just want to keep it simple. So I take and then I put all pawns on the light squares, while I have a dark square bishop. So nice thing about harmonious setup. It usually happens when you have the pawns on the opposite color of your own bishop. This happens, of course, when you have less space. Otherwise, you would love to keep both bishops on the board. But sometimes as black, just because you start from behind and you need to solve a problem, you will lose the bishop pair in order to avoid playing with a bad bishop. So, okay. Tempo move from him. Now, I've got a choice between bishop e7 or queen b6. Do not, please. I know you wanted to make this move. Do not play f6. Allows any checks and just very, very risky. Bishop e7, so makes a tempo, but then f4. f4 or any other move. Not a huge fan of bishop e7. Feels like queen b6 is more impactful, especially against this move, because now I do have a double threat. So look at my opponent's coordination. It feels like he's getting completely bamboozled by my opening. So, I mean, again, this is not something that I know what to do. I'm figuring out as we go. I was basically out of book on move 6. But the point that I'm trying to make, when you sacrifice the pawn like this with h5, black's moves can usually be played on autopilot, leading to a solid position, while as white, it's very difficult to come up with a pawn break. So, for this reason, this is certainly a great practical way of play. It's of course quite risky if you want to play it in a tournament game and you've used it before, because your opponent may learn every single move and be booked to the teeth. But for online chess, you can play like this all the time, and just by doing small twists here and there, always slightly improving over your previous game, you're gonna be doing fine against the tal variation. So again, if you're more of like a safety first type of player, go h5. I did it in the previous video. My favorite move and the best. But if you wanna have some fun with the Caro-Kann, this can be a great alternative. Now, I can go ahead and go queen b2, knight d2, and the game gets a little bit messy. To be honest, it's more tempting to just play c5 and keep it very easy. c5, knight c6. I don't even have to go in for the queen grab. If I can finish development, I would be more than happy. Plus, if we get to throw in c3, then maybe queen takes b2 becomes even more annoying. Because once the knight moves, I can pick up c3. So maybe I want to take the pawn on b2, but I do it if it's really like an improved version. And I'm also putting quite a lot of pressure on my opponent since it's not easy at all to defend against CD. Maybe like not immediately, because I would be vulnerable to bishop b5 discovery check. So I'm actually not threatening to take twice, but I'm threatening to play knight c6, and then this becomes a problem. Pawn is soft as well. Rook is misplaced. I feel like also g1 square can be weak if we get to trade, and then enemy king. Also, just look at how nicely a6 plays in this setup in the French structures, because right now, in general, if I wanted to take on b2, knight b5 would be a huge problem. Knight b5 threatening fork and taking square of my queen with rook b1. But I have this brilliant a6 move. Remember, I did a6, right? At this point, it looks like a complete waste of time. But among all the moves that you can play, a6 turns out to be quite useful, controlling b5 square, knowing that, okay, you're planning to break with c5 in the future. It's nice to stop that just in case. Of course, it's a deep nuance as a beginner. It's kind of difficult to wrap your mind around this, but this is how it makes sense. You don't have to like overthink it. I was just trying to emphasize that I can really grab the pawn on b2. Should I go for it? So there is the take. And I'm looking at that mainly because CD, he does want to capture with a bishop. You can clearly see that. I cannot take as bishop b5, double attack, exploiting my unprotected queen. So there is choice between takes and going knight out. If I go knight out, DC bishop takes, knight a4 is a little bit scary, but then queen a5, queen a5, and we're doing great. So I have safe play available, which I might actually go for. Knight a4, if we grab, queen b4, c3. No, I just like safe play. No. Too old to grab such pawns on b2. Not my business anymore. We just stick with sound play here. Bulletproof development with the Caro-Kann. Okay, what to play as white? How do you make a move? Now there are two ideas: CD and then queen takes b2. You've got a stupid rook on h3. Your king is weak. If you move the queen, you're getting forked. I mean, this is why I play London system as white, just so I don't end up in a position like this anymore. Okay, I used to play e4 tal variation when I was an ambitious high schooler. Not anymore. Not anymore. I might still be in high school after 10 years, but I'm just not ambitious anymore. That's what I meant. Okay. Yeah, f4. So I told you like a second ago, after this trade, g1 square could be weak. So already he's tempting me with this infiltration. Should I go for the infiltration? Yes. Okay. We're gonna go in like a plumber. Checking this pipeline. Let me have a closer look. So check. Goes bishop f1, saying there is no problem with this pipeline. But I don't believe it. This looks like a really nasty pipeline to me. Looks like a lot of damage has been done here before by an inexperienced plumber. You guys know whenever you go to like the dentist or something and the doctor or the expert in cause immediately starts trash talking the previous guy that did it for you. That's so funny. Okay, queen d2. Wow, so allowing knight g3, allowing rook takes. So he wants to castle. I only have 40 seconds left. Dude, I really need to speed up. He does want to castle. I mean, I have rook h5, rook h4. I don't think I can stop him. d4, knight e3, a bit too risky, maybe doable. Okay, I'm going for it. I don't have enough time on the clock to play it safe, so this decision probably bad because the knight goes into d6, but I'm trying to force the game and go into the clinches. Now that I wasted my time making stupid plumber jokes. So, going for that, that's an idea. Okay, king e7. Looks fishy, but you'll have to show me why it's fishy. Looking at this, and I'm stopping his king from castling. So queen e2, in fact, playing knight b4 next. Queen f2, what? So trade, knight c2, there is a move. Wow. Trade, knight c2, okay, this guy is just unambitious, he just wants to bail out. He really just wants to bail out. Queen g4, not a great move, but just something to keep queens on the board. Oh, come on. So bishop e2 cannot do, and rook g3 I've got takes. Okay, so takes, rook g7 I've got knight c2 he forgot about. Okay, nice. Am I getting mated? So I have d3. I'm almost winning queen. Not sure I'm winning the queen. I wish I was winning the queen. Man, I really wish I was winning the queen. So d3, king f3, knight d4 I'll play. King g2. Damn it, I'm still not winning the queen. Okay, take this, hide. Maybe some mate. Threatening queen h1, queen h3. Actually threatening queen h3, queen h1 if he takes on d3. This is so tense. So he's got rook f7, king d8, knight b7. I cannot escape that perpetual. Okay, I have to take. I'll take twice on f7. I've got to take twice on f7 and pray that some rook g8 magic will happen. What am I doing with my life? Such an easily winning position before, but not anymore. Okay, getting back the queen. Extra piece. Woo! Have you seen that? How did this happen? How on earth did this happen? Well, everything it was calculated since I played this move, a6. Everything worked out as planned. Now, was this an accurate game? You just know that this was not an accurate game. Was it a pretty fun game? I'd say maybe it was somewhat fun, somewhat accurate. Somewhere in the middle. But actually, was my d4 justified? Yes, so d4, I knew it was unnecessarily risky. Like the play was just to grab the pawn and then, okay, collect castle long, play extra pawn. I mean, I have a minute on the clock at this point. I don't afford to play conversion. But luckily, we went in for the tricks, and the tricks have played out in our favor. Somehow, luckily, my opponent wasn't getting mated. But yeah, this position, once I had rook knight for queen, he was just busted. I was having too big of an attack. He just had no defense. But okay, luckily, we got the mate in time. And I think with that being said, we can move on to the following game. All right, everybody, got ourselves a black game, and we're gonna be focusing because my opponent is playing from a relatively fresh account, whatever that means, and we do get the exchange variation of the Caro-Kann. So I'm gonna play it standard way, knights on natural squares, bishop g4 ideally, e6, and then bishop can always go to e7. Main catch being to play for minority attack in the middle game. That is going to be our main winning condition against the exchange variation. So bishop out, knights on natural squares. And okay, he does go for c4. c4 changes the situation a little bit because I was expecting a setup that involves c3, which is how most players do. c4 gives me good opportunity to take. Can take, go bishop e7 castle, focus on the isolani. Can also try to maybe make an interesting game and put bishop on d6. Hoping c5, bishop c7, knight c3 castle, a3, knight e4 with f5 leads to interesting game. We can also do it like that. Yeah, let's play more fun game. It is gonna be a fun Caro-Kann video because this is what you guys want. You wanna have fun with the Caro-Kann. Okay, this is what you want. This is what I will have to provide. Yes, also notice that I kept my bishop. I'm not giving away for no reason. And can we make 94? I think the answer is yes. Double pawns will be worth it because d4 will be quite weak after my queen's path opens up. So I don't think he can take, and I am preparing to play f5. Whenever you can support your knight with f5, it's gonna be one of the best moves. So knight e4, f5. And okay, I like my position because my opponent doesn't have knight e5. This would be his only source of counterplay. If you want to actually avoid any headaches, especially after committing to f5, weakening e5 central square, I could throw in bishop takes. This is typical idea for London system. Takes, and then what? I don't know. Just takes. What part you don't like about takes? Maybe I don't have to do it. Although it's a nice move. Maybe just take, put queen on f6. Life is pretty good with a queen on f6. But where is my mate? Where is the fun game that I've promised? Okay, so actually now that I'm looking at it, it might be interesting to play b4, grab, and then play rook c8, perhaps. So that b5, we just maneuver the knight towards g6, and perhaps I'm preparing Bishop b8, queen c7. Ah, okay, he goes 92, strange move. I'm afraid this loses instantly for my opponent, so please feel free to pause the video and yeah, try to find the drawback behind his last move. I'll give you a hint. The bishop on e3 feels trapped, really does not have a lot of squares. But how do you do it? It's actually quite an interesting exercise because you need proper move order. It looks like there are two possible wins, but in fact only one of them is a clean win. I'm talking about knight takes on c3 and bishop takes on e2. So it's tempting to go bishop takes on e2, but the problem is that after say knight takes on e2, if you do f4, he's got knight takes e4 intermezzo. And after de, the bishop escapes. So important to not give him this like knight e4, bishop d2 defensive resource. So I'm looking at knight c3. He's forced to recapture. No matter how he recaptures, trade on e2, play f4. Bishop's got no moves. Just make sure everything is super forcing. He gets no way to work around this, and kind of a pity we don't get to play attacking game, but I'll make a few moves in the post-analysis board just to show you how I would have developed in case there was no blunder from my opponent. But nice to see that, okay, even 2300 level players blunder like pigs. But how do you play on bishop f4? Last important precise move. It's very tempting to recapture, but okay, when you're winning, this is an important skill that you want to develop. You want to squeeze the most juice out of the fruit. So what that means is bishop f4, queen e6 gives him a pawn for no reason. So I have knight takes on d4 by the looks of it with a tempo. So he cannot run away because I'm taking queen with a check. Important detail. And if queen e3, queen d3, I was looking at rook takes on f4. So I'm defending my knight. In this way we get to save the pawn. But maybe we're complicating because there is g3. Lots of things to calculate. Okay, on the other hand, say I take queen e6, king h8. d4 is hanging, knight is hanging. He has to play knight f3. It feels like this should be the best move, but can we justify it? I don't know if you can make it work. So say queen d3. I just need to look at it for a moment. Intuitively, that's the play, but I mean, if you cannot make it work move by move, it's just a fairy tale. So g3, let's say I play rook f5 because I don't see anything else. He takes on d4. I have bishop e5. He goes queen d3. Otherwise, queen e3, I have d4. So I take. He takes with queen. And I'm going to have extra exchange. So which one do I want? Extra exchange or do I want piece for 2 pawns? So piece for 2 pawns means +1. Extra exchange means like rook for knight. It's 2 points. So, okay, I think this is better. I don't know if it's actually better. I'm just... maybe I'm just very stubborn. Every good chess player is super stubborn, which is maybe why I'm not. But I'll take. So taking this way, had in mind g3, but rook f5. Rook f5 was justification. At g3, maybe I even have queen g5. It's getting so concrete. Fabiano Caruana would be a great guy to have on your speed dial. Let him play this position. He would find all these moves very precisely. But yeah, g3, maybe queen g5 was interesting, or rook f5 like I calculated. Not sure what I would have played. As per usual, you spend all your childhood calculating a line, opponent then defends losing in one move. Now the question is, can you guys find a nice idea to build up the attack? Okay, by the way, this is completely unnecessary if, let's say, you're in low elo and you've got a position like this. I mean, just go for the trade, keep it simple. Trade and then connect your pieces, double up rooks. But now, he's really tempting me to play a move like knight f3 check. So gf, I'd imagine queen g5, king h1, and then rook h4 is interesting. He's got f4, queen f4, queen g3, queen e4 check, queen g2. Yeah, that's just complicating for no reason, so I'm not gonna play it. Let's trade. Can we keep it simple? Once and for all. Takes with rook. Now, this move hangs the pawn on b7. The pawn on b7, in such positions, you can always do rook b8, of course, and protect, but when you've got an extra piece, you can normally ignore such not so critical frets and step on the gas. Like let him take on b7 because maybe you play queen e5 or something like that. Queen e5 with idea rook f3. Okay, let's play it. Come on. Come on. I'm not gonna defend on b7. I'm a respectable YouTuber. You think I play so cowardly with an extra piece? That is not allowed. It's recommended, but not on the video. Okay, so rook b7. Alternative, there are also consider rook c7, rook f2, but it's leading to nothing, so I will defend my bishop. Grab, queen here, g3, yeah, so protecting, and g3, rook d4 was one way that I thought the game could go. Rook d4 and then have rook f8 coming with some potential sacrifice on f2 happening. And then, yeah, the idea is to open up these pieces. And yeah, queen e3, he's inviting me to play rook e4, queen g3. I can trade twice. Take with a bish. Yeah, that's probably what we're gonna play. Trading rook f1 is fine, but this is even better because we're winning a pawn. So I'm forcing him to exchange in our terms. And for a second, it looks like this move and white gets counterplay, but I'm gonna grab him by the neck, push him back. Rook e1. Rook f7, just don't play rook f8, because that's how you get mated. Typical pattern. King that's castle short gets mated by two rooks on the 7th. So my plan would be to trade. I think I'm actually just planning to do rook f8. So if c6, I am playing rook f8 just because we're putting him in mating net. Okay, that's a move I'm reasonably happy about seeing. If I play for tricks, rook c8, rook c5 is an idea, but question is rook c8, b4. Okay, what do you do in that position? Genius. Maybe I have a5. Okay, let's do it this way. This is so pretty. He's gonna do c6 and then we get to take. That's gonna be so funny. He will 100% play c6. Thinking, okay, I mean, this guy just doesn't understand chess. I'm gonna get the queen. Come on, try and get a queen. It's waiting for you. Queen is waiting to be promoted. Go c6, you got it. Good idea. Okay, b4. He didn't fall for it. Now, additionally, I've got this a5, but also running the d pawn is fine. But I like this better just to provoke b5. Just exchanging pawns. a5, very nice technical move. I think. I don't know for sure. How can I know for sure? It's just that we get to avoid rook a7 idea, and the more pawns we trade, the closer to conversion. I'm also baiting him into b5. Can you please blunder that opponent? I may try. You're down the piece. Why so serious now? Okay, rook b6. Threat, inexistent. Okay, let's push. He wants to do c6, so he just protected that square. Yeah, but I'll just push now. You do c6, I get my own d pawn rolling. Which one is gonna be first? Well, obviously it does help that almost all of his pieces are paralyzed due to the back rank issue. So yeah, I'm just gonna go d3, d2 next. And there's nothing he can do about it. This rook is just gonna be too late. d2 comes with a tempo. d2 rook e1 is being threatened. c7, I can still take. I can also play d2. I probably play d2. And have rook e1. Threat take and promote to a queen. My bishop also covers his only defensive resource. And yeah, we managed to convert that extra piece. Turns out you don't have to be Fabiano Caruana to convert an extra piece, which is encouraging. Chess is a difficult game, but at least we can win easily with an extra piece. And I'm just gonna tease him. Let's just tease him. You cannot take as you're pinned. So satisfying. He's got 2 pawns. Okay, you know what? Have your fun, buddy. Have your fun. Promote the queen. This is why I'm going to hell. This is why I'm going to hell with a hell of a Caro-Kann. Now, yeah, of course, things are easy when opponents blunder with knight d2, but in case of b4, I'm not sure if computer approves this plan, but my idea was to go rook c8 and then knight e7. So, okay, say a4 happens. I was eyeballing a position similar to this one, where you put bishop on b8, knight g6, knight h4, queen c7, with reasonable attacking chances, it felt like. Come on, Stockfish. Yeah, Stockfish thinks reasonable, interesting game. Alright, everybody, we are back with the black pieces, and opponent does go for e4. So, gonna be a golden opportunity to play the Caro-Kann, and let's stick with the main move against advance. So, I've done a lot of c5 in the past. Certainly the best move by far if you are playing the Caro-Kann below 2000 elo. I recommend this move. I have a lot of videos on it in the past. I also go into a deep dive in my Chessable course. But for now, we're going to be experimenting with the best move, bishop f5, getting a little bit of variety. This is even nicer above 2000 elo. So on knight e2 specifically, this line is going to be connected with a knight on g3. So opponent is playing for tricks pretty much, but I think it's just a very harmless line. I just know that h4, h5, and whenever they play bishop e2, we're gonna lose pawn on h5, but black gets very good counterplay in the center with quick c5. So yeah, knight g3, just make sure to keep the bishop first. Next up, looking at c5, knight c6. Okay, on bishop d3, I'm not so sure. So normally the answer would be yes, I love the trade. But with a knight on g3, if I do the trade, he's gonna have knight h5 ideas. So I'm thinking, what if I just play c5? I let him trade, because if a pawn reaches g6, it will instantly restrict enemy knight. So against bishop d3, I never faced it before, but c5 feels better just because we play against enemy knight, so we delay the trade. But same concept applies. We do love trades in the Caro-Kann. Don't get me wrong, just in this specific position, feel like going for okay, not rushing with a trade is better. Now, a student of mine would really love me to play here bishop takes b1 with the idea of going cd, cd, and then queen a5, which is a funny trap. But the problem is, okay, if you go bishop b1 and then cd, white can always throw in intermezzo. Is there actually a problem? Can still play c5 later. But I'd probably keep the bishop just to restrict this knight. So maybe I can push a6 or start with the queen. Maybe queen move is most impactful, just attacking bishop while simultaneously pressuring the center. And now the point is to take with the b pawn, getting ready to pressure the center. So opponent castles. Can take and go c5. He will likely be forced to develop my bishop and then go knight c3. Thus creating positional fork with knight e4. Tricky. In these positions, whenever there is a knight on g3, and specifically after castling, h5 becomes way more interesting, because in the past, say, if I do h5 now, white can play h4, and the pawn is nicely protected by the rook. But after castling, can maybe start questioning the knight, because h5, h4, bishop e7 already very unpleasant. So let's say I do h5, he goes, okay, I don't know what. Maybe rook e1, but h4. Yeah, this has to be the move. Just most flexible play. I'm not rushing with cd, c5. I was looking for ways to develop the pieces. I see not such a comfortable way. Therefore, I think, okay, what is happening? Why is that? I should have comfortable ways to develop. Then I see, knight on g3. Let's play against this piece. Now, knight d2 specifically blocks path of its own queen. So certainly possible to take twice, knight e2, queen b6. If queen a4, I have at least queen b5, but don't need to rush with that. Either can play perhaps even better, bishop d3, rook e1, bishop c5. Okay, that's very strong. We played. Just collecting free pawn. Expecting him to target the queen. That's such an ugly move. Okay. Asking the right questions. Knight f3. The rook is more or less trapped. I can go anywhere. What if I just go c4? I go c4, so I stop knight e2. b3, queen a6. Yes, and then pick up rook simply. Actually, there is even a bigger threat in the position, if you can imagine. So feel free to pause the video and think about what would you play in case of a normal move like bishop e3, let's say. It even, I think, applies now. Maybe not. But I was looking at bishop e3, just h4. So I force the knight move into the corner, and then we trade queens, trade everything. Just even stronger than rushing with a rook collection. Queen e3, now the problem is h4, maybe rook d1. If we go hg, rook d3, rook escapes. I mean, it's not like all the problems are fading away. There's gh2 and so on. Black is probably still better, but Oof, what to do? Guess you also have to cash in from time to time. Yeah, I would love to make this move work. It's just rook d1 counter attack. Just in time. Okay, fine. I'll go for it. And time to finish development. Could also do via e7, but more flexible when the bishop is still open and there are no bishop takes h6 ideas to worry about. So what is the material balance? We do have extra exchange and extra pawn. So we're basically plus 1 million right now. That's what Stockfish would say. Just need to finish development, not blunder, and maybe we can win a game of chess with the Caro-Kann. Yeah, that should be pretty easy. That should be pretty doable. Huh. Castle short is the simple play. It's of course very tempting to consider a move like g5 and try to force a win. But after knight takes g5, bishop takes, queen takes, it just feels a bit unnecessary to sacrifice. I want to. I just cannot justify it. Maybe move like queen d3 idea to queen trade, also not bad. Problem with queen d3 is queen a4 and he gets to attack me. So we're gonna keep it very safe. Castle, knight g3, going to trade it. Yes, there it is. Trade, not allow double pawns, not playing g6, not allowing weakness. Then either bring queen for some trades or yeah, I think that's about it. He wants to play there, so I'm gonna give him a nasty surprise. The queen will be just in time when the bishop tries to pressure the pin pawn. Or the ping pong. If bishop tries to press ping pong, we defend the pin pawn. That's an easy one to remember. Alright. See guys, this is why you have already subscribed to this channel an eternity ago. If you're a new viewer, you might have subscribed without even knowing. Oh my god, I made such a slip of tongue when I said that subscribe word. Some words are just difficult. Or maybe I should just not be making videos. That could also be it. Maybe I should try to find my vocation. In the meantime, though, same can be said about my opponent, even more so. So salty. So salty, grandpa. Salty, grandpa. Okay. Queen f5. So queen f5 or queen g6, queen g4. Queen f5 allows a bit of a weak pawn, does speed up the process, but I'll just do queen g6, not to teach you to create these unnecessary double pawns. I'm happy about bishop c5 because we do get to trade more pieces, so it's totally worth, when you're up so much material, you should actually be looking for ways to sacrifice just a little bit, okay? Not a whole lot, just a little bit to open up lines. Because in order to start converting these games, you need them open files so that you can use your extra material. So for that, quite often, what you need to do when you have extra piece, you have a lot of material, there are plenty of ways to sacrifice that piece, get into a king and pawn endgame with extra pawn, but it's always just effortless win. So if you're struggling with these positions, it can definitely be because you're not considering to sacrifice back to open up the lines. So I'm not rushing with d4, c4. That's not gonna open up lines. Maybe c4 little bit, but it's unnecessary sacrifice. I'll just do it the old school way. Okay, after a4 happens, now the pawn is no longer protected by a pawn. So it means we can start pressuring. Okay, let's do the pressure move and then c4, looking at it. c4 using same theme, so I'm sacrificing to open up lines, very important. I do give up a pawn voluntarily. Now that I placed my rook on open file with the last move, I have simple idea, pressuring the knight, forcing him to move away so that I'm gonna get rooks off the board, and whenever opponent doesn't have a rook in such endgames, counterplay is also over. Take, I also get to luckily win a piece, but even if we would have kept playing this endgame, would have been an easy conversion. So yeah, what a nice Caro-Kann, Alex Bonanza. Thank you for enlightening us. You're welcome. You're very much welcome for that. So yeah, hope you guys like to see this. Now, I know you guys are probably wondering, but Professor Alex Bonanza, how do you come up with these type of h5 moves? How are you so smart? Well, this is simply a positional pattern. It happens in most positions whenever you see a knight on a square like g3, b3, b6, or g6. Pushing the rook pawn will likely be one of the best moves. So in case you're interested in learning more strategic patterns just like this one, make sure to subscribe to my newsletter, because I am writing a book about these fundamental concepts, and it will be ready pretty soon. So subscribe to that, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one.